Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. My name's Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour here. And we typically work on projects from beginning to end. So today we are going to continue on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along. Here is the book for it. We are working on the Precious Things block right here. And it is foundation paper piecing. So we will go through that whole process again. Foundation paper piecing is when you actually sew your pieces, your fabric pieces, onto a foundation of paper in this case. So here is our little design right there. And we have 3 pieces on. We have our first piece, this white piece in the middle, and the two pieces, it just goes around and around. We have all our pieces cut from yesterday, so it should go real quick. All we're going to do today is do our little trio of where we work in getting our pieces prepped, then we sew, then we press. So prep, sew, press, prep, sew, press. We will do that process for every single square. So we'll get our little system, our little groove going for this tonight. So if you didn't see last night's, I would go check out that. I'll probably talk a little bit more in depth. Like last night's will be more in depth than tonight's. Tonight's we'll just kind of get going on it. But you know, if you're just here tonight too, we'll still go through the process from beginning to end really for the foundation paper piecing. So all right, I'm going to flip you around and we'll get going tonight. Thanks again for coming, everyone. All right. Ready to go. So, like I said, we did the first 3 pieces yesterday. We did the first piece is the white, and you know what piece goes where because here's the order. So here's the back of it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we just keep going in order. So we've done 1. The first one, all we did was glue it on, and I forgot to mention, right when you have, yesterday, right when you sew your first piece to so once you sew piece 2 to piece 1, then piece 1 is actually sewn down and you don't need that glue anymore. So you can actually pop off the little glue that you had on there before it gets like too permanent or something. So, hey April, thanks for joining. All right, so we are, let's see again, 1, 2, 3. So we are on number 4. I'm just kind of grabbing as I go. I'm going to even mess these up a little bit more. I want this to feel super patchworky in the sense that I'm not making a decision. I'm just kind of grabbing. So let's just do that. I'm going to take this piece right here. We got the little elephant on and stuff. Maybe we can try and get some of either of those guys in. So, okay, I have my add a quarter ruler ready here, and I have my postcard, 2 things that we'll need for this part. We actually don't need either, but they make life a whole lot easier. And we'll go through that process now. So, all right. Block number 4, that is what we are on now. All of these blocks, except for the 4 corners, are just going to come from our pre-cut strips that we did last night. So we're not going to worry about how big or small any of these pieces are. They should all work fine with the pieces that we already cut. So all right, number 4. So we are going to put our postcard on the line that divides number 4 and everything that came before. And that's how I like thinking about it, like what came before? Well, that's 1, 2, and 3. So what's the line that divides those between 4? And it's this line here. Because it can get confusing, because you know, you got this line, you got this line, you got this line. The one that you do is the one that's closest to the ones that came before. So this one right here. I'm going to actually cover up everything that came before so I can still see the number 4 square, or the shape. I'm putting my postcard right on the line. The postcard is nice because it's got just a nice kind of solid edge there, but it's still really thin. So I'm going to put it right along that line, and I'm going to ignore everything else. I'm going to pretend that any number higher than 4 doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. So I'm going to fold against my postcard here. I'm going to fold that, and I'm going to extend that fold all the way, even though it crosses other lines. Here's our little ends from the pieces that we did earlier. And now we're going to take the add a quarter ruler, pop that on there, and we're going to trim that off. So we're going to have our perfect seam allowances, even though we started with, you know, crazy extra stuff here. So if you don't have a add a quarter ruler, you can use any other ruler that you have. You just measure on the 1/4 inch right there. You'll pop that 1/4 inch right on your fold, just like that, and then you can trim your 1/4 inch. But you know, if you just notice, like even there, I had to concentrate and really line up that edge with the add a quarter ruler. It has a little bump out, so you can kind of see here. It has a bump out, and that bump out is a 1/4 inch wide. So you can just go boop, and it goes right against your postcard. I could do it without, you know, without my eyes open, and I still know I'm going to get that 1/4 inch. It really makes this whole process just that much nicer. All right, then I'm going to cut. Make sure I close the rotary cutter, and these are our scraps, and we're left with that perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now, no matter how messy you get, you're gonna always get that perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance with paper piecing, foundation paper piecing. So all right, we have that prepped. So now we are going to put our piece along that nice edge that we just cut. So it'll be like this, right sides together. One thing that we want to just remember is that our piece of fabric, like I said, we pre-cut all these, but if you're not pre-cutting, your piece of fabric needs to be as big as the shape that you're trying to cover. So number 4, it needs to be as big as that shape plus a generous seam allowance. And by generous, I mean more than a 1/4 inch. I usually do around a 1/2 inch, just because it's better to be safe than sorry. You can't add fabric, but you can take it away. So it's better with paper piecing just to have it a little bit bigger. It'll be worth wasting that tinsy extra bit of fabric. So all right, right sides together on a straight edge. So we are going to test that we put this in the right spot. Like I might have put it too far this way or too far this way. I'm just kind of throwing it up there, aligning that nice edge that we just cut along our fold and a straight edge of our piece. But I want to test to make sure that I put that in the right spot. So I'm going to hold both in place. I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to pretend that I'm sewing along that line. So I'm going to pretend sew by putting in a pin along that line, and I'm going to put one more, so I got a couple points of contact there. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to pretend press. So I'm going to press it open, just kind of finger press. And look, it's starting to shape up our little hexagon in the middle. And then we're going to flip it around again, and we're going to double check the position that I put this in. Did it cover my entire piece here? And do I have my generous seam allowance? And I can just kind of peek, and I have plenty, plenty, plenty. So, I mean, we did cut these strips, so the strips are rather large. But, you know, once we get to this number 7, number 13, then we're going to have to be a little bit more careful, I think. But yeah, so our piece is in the right spot, so I can flip it back, and we are ready to sew. I can leave these pins in for now, or you can take them out. But with these kind of long floppy pieces, sometimes it's nice to just keep the pins in there. All right, let's sew. So this is the whole prep stage. Now we're going to go to sewing, and then we'll go to pressing, and then back to the prep stage. So it's that little trio. And you just go around and around. So like for paper piecing, I love that my sewing machine is here next to my workspace and next to my iron. That I don't have to walk around to each thing. So all right, I want to sew on my line here. And I'll take this first pin away so we can see. But I'm going to start sewing right where that 4, we're still dealing with that number 4 line, where it hits, where it crosses another segment. So right where it hits here, that's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to back tack, so I'm going to go forward and then backwards and then forward again. Just that'll kind of lock it in place. And I'm going to sew right along that line, and I'm going to stop and do that back tack again right where we hit that next piece. So I'm going to just kind of shimmy this up. I'm going to just double check that everything's looking right underneath and I'm not pushing my fabric in a weird spot or something. All right, one other thing, and we went over this last night too, but you want to make your stitch length a little shorter. You can kind of see my stitch lengths are pretty close together here. That's going to make more perforation dots. Like you're going to, you know, every time you make a stitch, you're making a hole in the paper. So you're making like a perforated line. That's going to make it easier for us to tear this paper out later when we're done. So a little less stitch length. And then we can sew. All right, do my little back tack. And then I'm just sewing right along that line. I can take that pin out. And back tack again. And that's that. Take that out of the machine. And then I like to trim these right away before I move any further. Trim the little ends. I always go on the paper side first. And I flip it over and, oop, that's a scrap. Then I do it on the fabric side as well. All right, just like so. And then we are over to the ironing. So I'm going to head over here. I have my little felt pressing mat. So I'm going to just, you always want to have the printed side down because you don't want this printing to transfer to your iron. So I'm going to just get a little heat on there just to kind of set the seam. And then I'm going to finger press. So remember, we only sewed from here to there. So we got all this like floppy area. So I'm going to fold it over like right where it's sewn, and I'm going to just kind of finger press. I'm going to extend that fold all the way, the rest of the way, and then I will press it in place. Okay, and that's that. We are done with number 4, and we are kind of forming our little piece here. Ooh, I think I'm going to cut off both the elephant and that little kitty, but oh well, happens. All right, so we are done with that. Let's move on to the next part here. Let's flip this around. Where are we at? Okay, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is right there. So let's get our postcard again. We're going to cover up everything that happened before 5 and right on that line, the line that's in between 5 and everything that happened before. So let's cover up everything that happened before, ignore everything else, flip that up. Our old little seams, our excess is there. Add a quarter, bop that on. Zoop. All right, that's our trash. We can go back. We're all prepped, and let's grab another piece from our pile. Let's just grab this one that came out on top here. I'm trying to do patchworky. All right, so again, I'm gonna just kind of put it on here. So I can do my test again, but you can, like I can also, you can do it without the pins. Like this time I'm gonna just kind of fold it up and I'm gonna kind of hold it in place. I like putting my fingers at the lowest points. Does it look like there's enough seam allowance? Does it cover? You know, again, it's got to cover this shape plus have the generous seam allowance. And I can tell, like right here, I've positioned it just fine. I got that seam allowance. So I'm going to just fold this back. And I'm not, so that in this case, I'm not going to do the pin test. I will definitely do the pin test later, though, when we get those larger strips, because I want to make sure I get this in the right spot. All right, you know what? This guy's actually, I use this, my business card here to get a 1/4-inch seam allowance, but it's actually kind of in the way when I do the paper piecing. So I'm going to just remove that. Then I have more area that my paper can slide underneath. All right, so since I didn't pin this, I have to hold it down. So I'm going to flip it carefully and make sure that all the seams are still lined up there and we're good. And I'm going to slide this underneath. And again, I'm going to go from where this number 5 line, where it touches the next piece up there and touches this piece down there, with my shortened stitch length. And if you go a little beyond, that's fine. I know some people, like, instead of back tacking, they'll just go a little bit into the next block. That's perfectly fine too. I prefer just doing a little back tacking and not going into the next piece, because sometimes it's harder to fold the paper, I think, when you have that extra little piece sewn down. So all right away I'm going to snip these ends. Flip that over. Snip, snip. Oh, you guys, before I forget, there are only like 6 more hours or like 5 more hours now that my embroidery kits are on Mass Drop. So if you guys are familiar with Mass Drop, it's a place that has like kind of occasional sales. And right now my embroidery kits are up there. They have a lot of crafty supplies, so it's kind of awesome to get. I mean, that's actually where I got my wool mat, and I think I got my iron. Yep, I got my iron through Mass Drop as well when they were having sales on both of these things. But my embroidery kits are on sale right now for a couple more hours. So if you wanted to snag those, you can head over there and do that. I also have a link in this post if you wanted to check them out. Just wanted to remind you guys before it went away. All right. Oh, look, I think we are going to get this guy in here. Oh, wait, he might get sliced off. Oh, yeah, he's getting totally sliced off later. Oh, well. All right, but that's piece 5. I mean, we're cruising now. Let's get to 6. Again, I'm going to cover up everything that happened before. Fold all the way up there. Ooh, I got some excess way up here hiding. Oh, you're waiting for your mat. Nice, Leslie. All right, let's see. Like, look how much faster it is that I can just bump this up on here without having to measure. All right. Flipping around again. Let's grab another piece. I'm just grabbing. All right, so again, right sides together. Oh, I don't think I mentioned this. I don't know if this is what you're talking about, Robin, but when you're doing paper piecing, you're working on the back side. Like, this is the back. So when we flip it, now we're on the right side. So your correct right side facing fabric will be up. So you'll be able to see it develop. But when you're working on it in this fashion, it'll be backwards. So you got to think about it as, like, you know, the back, and then you're flipping it, and then it's the right side. So I'm going to put right sides together. Again, I'm just going to kind of place it anywhere along this line. And then we're going to kind of test. So again, I'm going to try and do it without the pins. I'm going to just kind of fold it up and peek. Ooh, so we're way over here, number 6. I got it. Yep, I got plenty seam allowance everywhere. So we're going to just leave it. I could kind of nudge it this way, but again, I think I'm fine. So we're going to leave it. Oh, you got the llama, Catherine. Yay! Yeah, I want to still do the llama stitch along here. I've been, like, doing some crazy stuff lately, so I'll tell you guys about that soon, but I do still want to have our llama stitch along, and where we do the sketchbook cover too. So I think that'll be fun still. then they use the trace lines on the right side. Oh, yeah. Are you saying, Robin, that it was difficult to trace this design to know what's the right and the wrong side? Or they didn't say in the piece? Oh, you ordered the llama. Oh, they labeled the front and the back. Oh, I might be doing it backwards. I guess I didn't. Oh, I don't think I am. I mean, the numbers are forward here. I think we're doing it. Okay. All right, snip and snip. But yeah, you can kind of see how we're just kind of cruising now. You get into a system. I find this completely relaxing because I can just stitch right on a line, and it's just super easy. Oh, Adrian, you saw the Insta post over the weekend. I do. I tie the ribbons on the embroidery kit. So when you get an embroidery kit from me, they are tied by me. I'm going to have some other ones coming out soon, and I'll be having some help on tying those bows. But if you've gotten any kit from me prior from today, I have tied that bow. So yeah, I think I tied like 800 bows on Saturday, which is just kind of insane. And at the same time, our drain flooded, so I had to figure. So we had to take care of that too, which was fun. It was a weekend. All right, number 7 here. Oh no! Instead of pinning and checking, they just put the pattern. Oh, I see what you're saying. They printed the pattern on both sides, so they didn't have to flip back and forth to see if they had the piece covered. They could just see because they had it printed on both sides. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen that before. All right, wow, look at all the fun stuff we get to cut off this time. Man, that makes me nervous. Let's just double check. Yep, 6, we're doing 7. No problem. I love this. Giant floppy pieces that all of a sudden are going to have a super perfect seam allowance. Okay, let's grab a piece again. Just again, grabbing from the top. Ooh, this is kind of light though. I don't know if I want this light pale piece next to the white. Is that a big enough difference? I suppose I have some other ones. I'm going with it. I said I was going to do patchworky and I was just going to grab. This is what I grabbed. All right, I'm going to flip it. Oh, so here's the one that I thought maybe I'd double check, but I can tell that I still got the big seam allowance. I don't think I need to double check that. That's a nice thing about, ooh, I moved it though now. The nice thing about this pattern and why it's like really good for beginner paper piecers is because you can just pre-cut these pieces and they're all super big enough. But yeah, you still have to check, because if I was scooched over here a little too far, then I might not have hit my piece. I might have had a little like bit that wasn't completely sewn on the, or like a little hole, a little gap. And it's hard to seam rip these out. It's hard to go backwards on paper piecing. Or maybe it's not. I just haven't found out the trick for that yet. But, you know, once you have to pick out these stitches, it might tear your paper, and it's better to just be a little bit bigger. And it's better to do your pin test to make sure that your fake sewing pin test. This is a better safe than sorry sewing deal, this foundation paper piecing. But I find it so relaxing. Oh, Gretchen, yes. So I still have my penguin and fish scissors. I don't think I have another color here, but they come in all different colors, and they're still up on penguinandfish.com. I think I still have all the colors available as well. All right. But yeah, I just love that I don't have to measure. I don't have to, you know, even with the add a quarter ruler, it's just done. Done, done. Yeah, so they have, like I have like a purple, a blue, an orange, a red, and a green for the little stork scissors. And they're all kind of, they're a little sparkly too. All right, we have our middle. Here is our, we finally have our little kind of hexagon guy in the middle here. Cute, cute. Whoa, my camera just came off of the stand. Hold on, you guys. There we go. Oh yeah, that's right, Bonnie. You're totally right. I have a yellow, like a goldenrod color too. All right, flip. 7, 8. Ooh, we're to an edge here. So for the edges, we still have to make sure that we have this seam allowance. So luckily in this design, they have added the seam allowance around the outside. Some designs don't do that. So if they just go up to this line, you have to always remember, add your seam allowance. We've been adding it the whole time, so you should kind of be used to always wanting that extra seam allowance all the way around, but you can't forget about it when you get to an edge either. So I still need a piece that's as big as this plus the generous seam allowance. But I'm still grabbing from the pile here. Oh, we missed a step. Let's cover up everything that we've done before, and we're just exposing that number 8. There we go. Cut off all that excess. I'm telling you, this add a quarter ruler is like one of my favorite things. All right, flip that. Get this guy on here. I'm pretty sure that's covering our number 8, but you know, just because. Yep, we have piles of seam allowance. Great. All right, let's go to the machine again. Man, I think we're totally going to finish the paper piecing on this block. There's a lot of pieces. This is a lot of pieces to do in an evening, but man, having them all pre-cut really, really helped move things along. Oh yeah, I gotta check out that new add a quarter ruler. So you guys were saying that there's an add a quarter ruler now that has like the postcard part of it figured out too. That's pretty nifty. Ooh, if we finish, I mean, we got kind of a ways to go yet, but if we do finish the foundation paper piecing tonight, we can actually, I think, start taking out the paper, which would be kind of fun. But there are kind of quite a few pieces yet, aren't there? Oh yeah, gosh, they go all the way up to 17. Yeah, so we might be doing this paper piecing a little bit more tomorrow. But that means maybe we can actually finish this block tomorrow. I was only going to do through the paper piecing and wait for the applique. But if we can quickly get the paper piecing done and take the paper out, that takes a little bit of time. But take the paper out, we might have time to do our quick, like a quick raw edge applique for the heart. And then we can get this whole guy done. Oh, tomorrow's Wednesday. I still wanted to work on some of the other paper piecing projects that we have too. So maybe I might just stop this tonight, no matter where we get to, And tomorrow we'll work on the flowering tree block, which we got before weeks ago, I think now. It's one of my unfinished blocks. I'm halfway done. But I can show you guys that. That is foundation paper piecing, but it's kind of like the next level up from here. So I think wherever we get on this tonight, I'll stop, work on it, and we'll work on that flowering tree one instead. Yeah, I like the 12-inch. If you guys are getting a add a quarter ruler, I would definitely recommend the 12-inch. I mean, even like here, sometimes when you're going a long angle like this, I mean, a 6-inch wouldn't get me the entire way. So for these in particular, these Splendid Sampler blocks, I'd shoot for the 12-inch add a quarter. All right, grabbing for number 9 here. Ooh, which is the right and wrong side of this? There we go. And I mean, this just covers the whole thing, so I'm pretty sure we've covering number 9 here. Yeah, we're fine. All right, time to sew. Oop, it's already on. All right, let's flip this around. It wouldn't hurt to pin along the lines like how we were test pinning earlier, because these pieces are rather floppy. They're long and kind of floppy, so pinning helps when you turn the paper over. They won't go away. Oh, one other thing, when you are in the seam allowance, like now the line's kind of going into the seam allowance, I go all the way into the seam allowance. I don't stop at the line anymore. I continue that line into the seam allowance. And then I still kind of put a back tack there. So I'll show you what I mean. Oh man, so Leslie, we did hang the painting. We are moving a bunch of stuff today, but once I have the living room cleaned up, I'll show you guys the painting. It is ginormous. It barely fits. It actually doesn't fit, but we're making it fit. So I'll show you guys that. But here we go, sewn into the seam allowance there. We bought a painting. They do an art sale at the school that my husband and I went to in town here. And on the wall, it didn't look so big. We went in and we're like, oh, it'd be nice to get a painting for like a Christmas/birthday present for each other. And we got it home and it's gigungous. But we kind of love it. We don't kind of love it. We do actually love it. And I think we both really like that it's so huge. It's crazy. Gretchen, I don't think it shouldn't pull out your stitches when you pull the papers off. If you're nervous about that, just go slowly and go slowly tearing along the edge. You should be okay. I mean, test it on like a far one or something, and then watch what you're doing still and everything. If it looks like things are pulling out, then just reassess like a different way to get in there. But yeah, you should be pretty good. All right, there we are. Man, how many more do we have? I still think we got kind of quite a ways to go. 10. Postcard. Plop that around. I love this part where you just get to cut off all of these edges. Oh, Leslie, I love little local art shows and sales too. If any of you are in the Minneapolis area, the No Coast Craftorama is on Friday and Saturday this week, I think. And that's a really good one. That one's fun to go to. All right. We're going to plop this on again. I always like doing the test in some form. Yep, we're good. Oh, celery root roasted is delicious. Oh, that's interesting. We've been making celery juice and other juices, and that's been just really fun lately. You feel just like you're putting good stuff into your body. Oh, again, I'm hitting a seam allowance, so I'm going to go extend my line into the seam allowance. And if I have a seam allowance at the start, I will start at the outside. Like if this was the beginning, if I sewed in this direction, I'd still start on the outside of the seam allowance and then hit my line. All right, let's flip over. All right, so we're kind of zooming all over the place, my little area today. But that is how paper piecing goes. You got that trio. The prep, sew, iron, prep, sew, iron. This fabric's always doesn't want to press as easily as the other ones. Okay, now let's flip. That was 10, 11. Ooh, we're on the edges. Postcard. Oop, slipped. There we go. Get rid of all that excess. Best part. Alrighty. Just grabbing from my pile again. Ooh, here's that pretty, this flower. This is why I need to work on the flowering tree one again, because I keep using this flower pattern and I don't have a lot left and I need it for the flowering tree. All right, we still are hitting that 11 piece. We're still good. Yeah, these pieces were cut really nice and big. So if this is your first time paper piecing, it's going to be a lot easier. But you still want to check, because you can slide a little bit too high or too down low on these pieces, and you don't want to miss your piece. Okay, right on that line, and stop. All right, let's snip the ends right away. You really get in a rhythm with this. Ooh, I'm getting awfully curly here. I'm wondering if I'm getting to the end of my bobbin. We'll have to see. Flip that and finger press it. Oh, this is looking so cute. See, the more pieces you add, and the more refined all the other pieces start to get, which is good. All right, flip. 11, 12. Right here. Oop. Zoom you guys over here again. Covering up everything we did before. Add a quarter. Friendly reminder, always close the safety on your cutter. You don't want to get in the groove and find that this was open and then accidentally grab cut your fingers off. You got to get really good at that practice. Freaks me out. Just all the pictures that you see on Facebook of someone cutting through their finger. Oh my God, I get like nauseous every time I see one of those. Blah. Scary. Oh, Gretchen, it'll probably be just fine. Like if your fabric isn't too taut or anything in the middle or any part, once you get the papers out, it's gonna feel like fabric again. So it's all gonna flow and just be softer and stuff again. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then like when you press it and all that will help take care of it too. All right, I'm going into the seam allowance again here. Oop, there we go. Oh, you're sewing and listening to your husband at the same time. You sew through your finger. Oh my God, Roxanne. Oh my God. That scares me so much. That freaks me out. Ah! That is like my nightmare, that I'll like cut through my finger one of these days. And man, I feel like I jinxed myself even by saying that out loud. I am wearing that cutting glove a lot now. I don't have it here right now, so I can't cut myself now. But I am, when I do a lot of cutting, I am trying to wear that cutting glove. It has like that, I don't know, the metal stitched into it somehow. So in case you cut yourself. Oh, you had to get an IV done for or for sewing through your finger. Oh, you stepped in a pin. Oh, it went through your toe. Oh my God. Oh, you all are horrible. That's just, that is so scary. Yuck. I don't like it. See, y'all need to do these safety precaution things. That freaks me out. Although now I'm going to totally jinx myself, and now I'm kind of scared to use anything anymore because I'm jinxing myself. You think you're safe until you're not, and that's what I'm scared of. All right, this is our last big piece. Remember we had to cut those 4 shorter pieces. Those are up next. Those are just for the 4 corners. I think we're going to finish this guy. All right, do I have my seam allowance yet? Yep, we're plenty good. Yeah, no jinxing allowed. Yuck, yes. Oh, maybe I'm done with that because I remember I poked myself with the needle, that hand stitching needle the other day, and maybe that's enough blood and sewing for a couple of years. Ugh, my cutting board's in the way. It's pushing me around a little bit. All right, so this time I went into the seam allowance on both sides. I feel like talking about the bobbin earlier is going to jinx me with the bobbin too. Ah, well. If we run out of a bobbin, we'll call it a night. Oh, see, Leslie, that is what I'm talking about right there. That, is scary, scary. Those rotary cutters are no joke. Jennifer, I am not sure yet. So Jennifer asked, what am I, there's a heart that goes in the middle here. I am not quite sure. So this whole piece so far was just really patchworky. And I kind of want to keep it feeling the same way. But I want you to still be able to see the heart and everything. I don't know. We'll have to decide. Maybe we can decide special. We'll see what would just fit the best. I don't think I'm pretty sure I won't get to that tonight, the heart. But, man, we are so close to finishing the outside. Wow, this is so hefty now with all this fabric on here. But I would like to start tearing the paper off so you guys can see that. I forgot what we were on. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, we are on 14 now. So these are the smaller ones. Again, I'm just going to kind of grab. First, we need to do the postcard. Add a quarter. Get this guy out of the way so I don't cut him. All right. And now we can use our little cute smaller pieces. So about right there looks good. Let's double check. Pretty sure we're covered. Yep. All right, we're a little wiggly tonight too because we're moving around so much. All right, let's flip. All right, again, seam allowances on both sides. There's only 3 more pieces after this. We are really cruising on this. So I think when we work on the flowering tree tomorrow, it's a little bit more advanced. I am not going to pre-cut all my pieces. So we'll see kind of what that process is. It's a little different than this. But if this is if this is your first time foundation paper piecing, this would be definitely a good project. Out of all the paper piecing we've done so far for the Splendid Sampler 2, this one's going to be the easiest to just get started with foundation paper piecing. You'll get the idea of you'll get the system down, and this system is exactly the same for any other type of paper piecing, no matter how complicated. It's going to be just the same. Oh gosh, this is so much brighter than this that I thought I did this on the wrong side, but it's not. This is just a brighter fabric. All right, a few more here. Yeah, it looks like some crazy science experiment for sure, but once you get going, it really is fun and easy. All right, 15 is down here. Get our nice edge. All right, and get another one of our shorty pieces here. This makes a crazy mess though. So foundation paper piecing, you will have fabric everywhere. And once you start taking the, oh, you know what? I'm going to do something else for this because look, these two are the same and they're nearby. I'm going to just pick a different one. But once we take the paper off, there's going to be little paper bits everywhere. You might actually want to clean up your fabric before taking the paper off, especially if you want to save some of your fabric, some scraps and stuff. Then you're not mixing your excess fabric with all these little bits of paper. I'm just going to make one giant mess. Oh yes, Gretchen, this is in the Splendid Sampler 2 book. So there's 2 Splendid Samplers. They made a sequel to the first one, and that's what we're working on now. So this is in the Splendid Sampler 2. However, the Splendid Sampler 1, the first one, it wasn't called 1, it was just the Splendid Sampler. But that one has a lot of really fun paper piecing as well. A whole pile of it. And I think there's a whole pile in this one too. Okay. Little press, little fold. This will get so cleaned up once we trim it, because we gotta still trim to our 6.5 inch block. All right, 2 more. Then we are done. 14, 15, 16 postcard. Look at these itty bitty pieces here now. Oh, Colette, that'd be awesome. Yeah, there are some good, there's some paper piecings in the first one too. But yeah, this one in particular is pretty easy. There was a nice easy one. There was a couple easy ones in the first Splendid Sampler. There's one, there was a heart by Crystal Watson, I believe. That one was pretty easy. I think it was just 5 pieces. That one you'll want to pin though, because they're kind of big and floppy. And then there was another one, I forget who did it, but it had 3 spools of thread. Oh, no, it had 3 pencils. It was 3 pencils, and that one was pretty easy as well. Like there wasn't a ton that you had to match up or anything. So I think maybe I'd go in that order if you're just starting and you have the first book. That's what I can just, I don't know, remember off the top of my head. But there was some pretty intricate ones in there too, so that they're fun to try as well. Oops, I just moved this everywhere. And just slide it back. Piece is big enough that I don't need to test. Test again. All the way into the seam allowance. Snip, snip. Ugh, one more. Can't believe we got all this one done. Well, I mean, at least the foundation paper piecing. We're gonna get this all sewn today. That's a lot of paper piecing for one sitting. But again, the pieces were all pre-cut, and they were pre-cut to be super large, so we didn't have to do a whole lot of fake pretend sewing with the pins. It was just pretty easy to kind of just check quickly by flipping it around, just that quick test. That was plenty for us. But yeah, this is a lot of pieces to do in a short amount of time. But yeah, you get in a groove and you get cruising. Our last add a quarter. All right, and our last little piece here. I still double check every time. Yep, we're fine. I am going to fuse my hearts. I think the heart applique instead of needle turn. I think needle turn would be adorable. Needle turn is always adorable. It always looks amazing. It's just so handmade, and it just always feels good. But it takes a while, and I'm trying to catch up. I'm a lot behind on these blocks. And we're doing that quilt as you go too, so I want to get back to doing some free motion quilting on some of these 4 blocks that we're sewing together. So nope, we're going to do the easy peasy applique. I'm going to just, I'm not even going to hand stitch it like we did with the kitty. I'm going to just, I think I'm going to even leave this thread. I'm going to just sew around the edge and be done. Actually, my mom had a great idea. She didn't do the heart at all in the middle, but on accident. And so instead, when she quilted it, because she's doing the quilt as you go, she just quilted a heart in the middle. And I thought that sounded like a perfect idea. Actually, I kind of almost want to just do that. Yeah, I'll still do the applique. All right, this is our piece. It looks crazy wacky right now, but we will square this up. I know we said that I usually in my other blocks, I want to keep kind of a little bit of an edge going, just so I have a little excess when I sew it into my blocks. But just for the sake of showing you guys how I typically do this, I'm gonna cut it out. So I have my 6.5 inch ruler here, and I'm cutting it out before I take the papers out, because after I take the papers out, I'm not going to know where to position this on the fabric anymore. So I'm going to just line this up. I'm going to completely ignore my seam allowance edge here. I'm going to focus on this inside line because I know that is the exact size I want it to be. I'm going to line up the points even on that if I can. I know I enlarged this a little bit, so it won't be exact. Ooh, wow, it's really weird down here. Yeah, when I photocopied this, I think I stretched it a hair. So it's not going to be perfect. I think we'll go right there. So I'm going to trim all the way around. And I'm just going to, I should have done this on my rotating cutting mat, but I'm just going to rotate my cutting mat. How about that? And it's just, I always think it's so crazy how finished paper piecing looks once you get rid of all these little extra bits. So when I turn it around, you'll get to see. There, look how clean it is on the back. And all of a sudden we have this magically clean, perfect, what direction does it go? Like this, perfect piece on the front too. Oh, it's so cute and patchworky. I love it. So there we go. I think I like this direction the best. So now all we have to do, I mean, we still have the applique, but we're going to tear this off first. And knowing this particular time, there's a lot of waste just because we pre-cut all these really big pieces, but you can do paper piecing with less waste by kind of what we're going to do tomorrow with that flowering tree block. So, all right, I'm going to just, I've seen people do this. I don't know, but I'm going to give it, see, I don't think that works. Sometimes you can give like a little, oh, here we go, like a little kind of stretch, and that'll kind of sometimes get these little pieces started, but that doesn't seem to do anything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you guys a little bit lower here. We need to tear all these perforations out now. So sometimes, yeah, sometimes I can grab like a middle piece. Oh, there we go. So I just kind of pulled and my paper is tearing a little bit. Sometimes I'll start at those pieces. And you can just get in there. See, it's starting to try and kind of perf by itself a little bit. And I just kind of go slowly around every piece. Yeah, this is coming out really easily. Oh, so I missed some of these edges. I'm going to want to get all these out. Oh, this flowering tree block. Sure, I'll show you guys that. So you know what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm not going to finish this tomorrow. I'm going to work on that flowering tree instead. And that is this one right here. So I've done the one side, and now I have to do the other side. So, you know, it looks like it's the same thing, but when this is reversed, remember the drawn side is reversed, then I'll have the two trees that go together. So this is a little bit more intricate. We have two sections. In this one that we did tonight, there was only one section. This is an A section and a B section that we do separately, and then they get sewn together. So hopefully, man, I don't know if we'll finish this tomorrow, but I do want to make some more progress on this guy. So that's the flowering tree. But yeah, so that's basically it. We can go, we'll just keep going around the edges here. I think I'll probably let this be. I won't finish doing all this. This is actually can get really, this can be a little time consuming, taking out all these itty bitty papers, but take your time. It's the fun part of the process. But I do want to show you, now you get it, like all our perfect seam allowances are revealed. So even though we were using huge, crazy, big pieces, or sometimes we'll just use scrappy, weird blobs of fabric, we always end up with like the most perfect 1/4 inch seam allowances that you can get here. See, every single one of our seams is going to be using, just going to be perfect. Oh, you use the super cheap copy paper for paper piecing. Yep, because it's really thin. You don't want to go too thin, like tissue paper I think is too thin. You need it to hold up to the sewing, but yeah, you also want it to be easy to take out. So that's where the challenge lies. I'm just using, yeah, like a cheap copy paper. Printer paper, just our normal printer paper. But yeah, so there we go. And then you can go around and pick these pieces out. Some people have a tweezers for paper piecing and they use that. I mean, if you wash this once, you know, when the quilt's done, all these little bits will probably go away. They'll just like dissolve probably. But you can kind of tell it's all fabric again all of a sudden, like without that foundation. So that'll help any wrinkles and stuff, I think. But yeah, so I'm going to leave it there tonight. I'll work on pulling out the rest of these papers later, and then we'll get that. Eventually, we'll need to get that heart applique in here too. Ooh, that's like just barely fits in there, doesn't it? That'll be pretty cute though. So, all right, I'm going to flip you around, and we'll call it an evening, guys. Hello. Oh yeah. So okay. So hold the opposite end of the paper. So yeah. So especially now, once I got it going, I can just go like that. Did you hear that? You can hear them popping a little bit. There we go. So we've popped a few extra little bits. So that, like right up here, that helps get things going here a little bit more. But cute. It's patchworky, but it still has all my pale colors. It would be fun with one of the brighter colors for the hearts. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. But awesome. Thank you guys for joining me again. I hope that helped you guys with your paper piecing a little bit. Again, if this was just too fast, check out yesterday's video. We dug into it a little bit more, and starting from the very beginning with that first number 1 block in the middle, that's treated a little different than the other blocks. So if you missed that part, you might want to go check out yesterday's. Other than that, just that applique. So awesome. And one more reminder, there's only a couple hours left on that mass drop sale for my kits. Click the link in this post to see those. And yeah, I'll be here again tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Central. So have a great evening, guys, and I'll see you then. Good night.